And of course, I'm telling Siri to tell him things, and she's making up things that should not be sent. And I'm just like, okay, this is not working. So,
Is Alexa better than Siri?
Dude, I have both. I like.
What I'm going to do, Kristen,
Alexa's
is
nice on the-
it's fine.
The big news.
Um,
And I didn't bring an umbrella.
so you know you're going to be at the end of the table here.
That
Uh,
works.
Okay, I'm going to turn up the
But I
volume.
just thought, well, did anybody put close
So what?
to the door? All of us run.
Okay, so you're up on my laptop volume, about as high as you can get. There's so far there's two of the mic
Aw,
people here, but there's 6 of us. So
I said there was more than us and them.
yep. So I'm gonna turn you like, let's see.
and I wrote.
I think that's okay.
You did, okay, good.
You can.
So I know that Carrie is.
Yeah, I think that's probably pretty. That's probably pretty good for you.
Yeah, I can see everybody.
Okay, and they can see you. So I'm going to be behind you actually with my a different laptop, taking notes and things like that.
Okay. Sounds good. Hey, guys.
Charter school when I was
I'll do my best.
Still at work.
You were actually in charge when I should have talked.
I've
never
tried
tried
here. And I'm back here.
I was able to get it today.
Oh.
Well, Mike's not slow driving like mine.
Elizabeth, what building were you in?
I don't know, building a little bit, I tried this.
I think you were in the University Center.
Is that you?
Yeah. Well, relatively, it's just right down there.
Well,
It's not the old university center?
But I'm gonna be as far as.
Parts of it are new, I think. But-
No, it's like 2 blocks down.
Oh.
It looks like
no.
exactly just like this one. The
But they
windows
did
the
what they
same,
wanted to.
building structure the same.
CSA is lower.
It's over by the, that old tennis.
Oh, by Mackenzie Arena.
Yeah.
No, that's the,
Is that the new dorms?
no, it's the,
Oh, Chris, that's upper school.
Mhm.
I want to say fitness, but it's the, no,
That's
it's,
not the art.
it's like at the pool and
No,
workout.
I've been there.
The, oh, then
It's
no.
across from
Across
that. I
from.
think
It's
it's
where the
like it's
tennis
brand
court
new.
goes, the tennis center. You said the new dorm with the coffee shop.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
there
it's
is,
that coffee shop.
Yeah, they have the new dorms.
They're just like
that's
you
new,
walk
that
right
is new
in.
doors.
We're knocking on someone's door.
I think so. And I was trying-
Yeah, I'm here to present.
I'm here. So, yeah.
That is awesome.
And I have not been arrested.
There's one there now.
Hi. Just need you to sit somewhere up there where the person on the computer here can see you and talk to you as well.
Favorite stadium.
And a concert class.
Actually,
Actually,
the stadium is my dad's second cousin. I don't get anything from it. John.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sprinter, that's what I'm
Oh, okay.
talking about. I teach PE, so I'm 2 days a week.
Yeah, we've got some PE teachers that we've got to place. Hello, young lady, how are you?
How are
Would you make sure and sign that? Good deal. And, yes, we've talked with
Yeah, we
Matt
have.
and.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Knight.
So how's Howard doing? How's that middle school coming?
It's
I drive by there every day and I'm
Yeah,
so
the plans are so
excited.
exciting. We're having a great time talking about
2 more of my children.
Guys, can I ask you
I didn't know what
to
it did.
try and sit down in that area, because we've got someone joining us on his laptop too, and we're trying to keep everyone in a contained area here.
Like I said, I got.
I'll just make sure you sign in, please. And who is on? Hello.
Hi.
That's Kristen.
I think that's so funny to see a little mini you right there.
I know. Well, I see a big you and a mini me, so we're opposite.
It's as loud as I can get you too. Where are you joining us from again?
I'm in Cheatham County, so I'm about 30 minutes north of Nashville.
How's the weather?
Well, I really think we're going to be out of school tomorrow, to be honest.
It looks bad on the radar up there.
Yeah. I know. I was going to try to make it home, but I live like 45 minutes away, and so I wasn't going to make it home by 4, so I'm kind of stuck at work, so I may be sleeping here. Or taking a boat home.
Then you could go raid everybody's refrigerator.
Every time I see
That's right.
And, okay, you can see yep, you can see everything pretty good. Okay.
Yeah, I pulled it up on my computer too, just so I could follow too.
Okay, great.
That's what I'm just.
Tuesday. No, this one.
So with
I
the,
guess some of us like it.
With the duo to get with.
All right.
Are we good to get
I
going?
think so.
Let's do, I'm Charlotte Ellington. I'm the clinical supervisor for this group of job embeds, which for those of you who don't completely understand that program, it means they have their content degree. These are probably smarter than we are, but we don't ever let them know that. And so they're working through to get their licensure, which I think you've actually got is it a 3-year provisional? Is that what it's, okay, so there, if you look them up, you can find which, yes,
Yeah.
okay, so you can find your license if all the paperwork, which I don't have to do, has been put in. So I'm gonna let them introduce themselves to you in just a second, but I like, I want to introduce Dr. Cameron as well, but I like for the MOX teachers to always remember that we have 3 components to this program. That we have the MOX teachers, and then we have the Butterfield Fellows, which is a group that will come, they're usually in just another semester, so they were in fall, and they do presentations. And then we have our guides, which are with us the whole time, which is really nice because, as somebody pointed out, you have a guide, you can have a real informal relationship with them, but it also gives you someone who is not attached to your school. So if you've really got an issue going on and you want to, word vomit, you can to them, and it doesn't get back to the person you were talking about at your school. Make sense? So, not that any of you all would do that or need to. So Dr. Cameron, you introduce yourself to them, and then everybody introduce themselves to
And
each
do we
other.
want to introduce your students first and then the guides?
Well, sure.
Okay.
I'm going to let them,
All
because they
right.
can do it themselves.
Okay, I'm Barry Camrath. I am the coordinator of the school leadership program here at UTC. So basically, that's a program that prepares individuals to either be department heads or in some sort of that capacity, or principals or other administrators. So many of the people you'll see presenting aspire to be school leaders, most principals, some who already are. And then I was actually a band director for 10 years in the state of Wisconsin, and a middle school principal for 14 before I took this position. So maybe, are we starting with your students?
Sure.
Okay, why don't we start here?
I'm Alicia Watson. I'm a 6th grade English language arts teacher at Winter Mill Middle School. I'm like, I guess, a baby because I just graduated right before I started teaching.
I'm Rolando Andres, and I teach at Sell Creek Middle High School, and I teach the high school level Algebra 2 and Honors Statistics. And yeah.
I'm on that. I teach 4 through 8 science at Newark Academy. It's a small school, but I really enjoy it. There.
Which academy?
Newark Academy.
No.
Yeah, it's inside the mosque here in Chattanooga.
Okay.
It's dreamy. Dreamy.
I'm Patrick Dean. I teach chemistry at STEM School.
Another dreamy school.
I'm Carrie Howellshaw, and I'm 6th, 7th science at Pioneer Charter School for Excellence.
Maybe we can start with Kristen.
Okay. I'm a little bit of the younger crowd. I'm elementary. Gotta love Dr. K, very flexible. I am outside of the county, so I'm in Cheatham County, about 3 hours away. So gotta love the flexibility of the program. I teach K4 STEM, actually. So I'm a part of the specials rotation and have a 6-week rotation with every grade level.
I'm Lennon Dyer. I teach 4th grade math at Spring Creek Elementary.
I'm Elizabeth Benice. I'm one of the assistant principals at Howard High School. And I love that you're representing your school. You can see we're all representing our schools tonight.
Well, I'm in my school. If that counts. I don't have on a shirt, but I'm in my school.
Good enough.
I'm Bert Finley. I'm at East Hamilton. I teach 6th grade world history.
I'm John Edgar. I'm a PE teacher at Westview Elementary and Spring Creek Elementary. I split my time between the 2 days of one together.
And I'm Kayla Wilson. I am the physical education teacher at CSAS Lower School. So K through 5.
Ready to
Okay,
go?
I think so.
Okay.
All right, our presentation is on teacher collaboration. And we have a few pre-presentation questions. If you want to go to that link, you can, there's a little Google survey that you can take before we start. You can do it on your phone or on your computer if you don't have a computer. How confident are you about collaborating with other teachers? What types of teacher collaboration do you see at your school? And what types of teacher collaboration would you like to see at your school? And they don't have to be super involved answers, just
And what website is that?
it'll take you to a Google form.
Okay, oh,
Fill
okay.
out so you can look at it.
This is part of the test to see if you can get on it. Because you can't work. And you might want to collaborate with one another if you figure out the keys. to do it.
Okay.
Sam School's got it.
Do you want to like co-answer with me?
Love it.
Mine's in the first
Okay. I'll compromise at 8. We co-teaching hope plan. What do you do?
I have it here if you'd like to fill it out on my.
Oh, I already did it.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Is there
never
someone who
mind.
needs a computer? Okay.
I thought you were trying to collaborate, you know?
Collaborate.
You have to log into your,
Google.
I think it's UTC. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's how it used to be, but you would have to register your device, so that might.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to fill it out on my machine? Would it be easier?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay.
We'll go ahead and move on. So the essential question of this presentation is how can we move teacher collaboration from mandated collaboration to meaningful collaboration? And the clear learning target, if you work in the county, you definitely know about this. By the end of the presentation, you'll be able to facilitate the collaborative process in your own school in a meaningful way.
How many of you wrote a clear learning target today? Anybody? Okay.
All right.
All right, so we're going to get started. We've got actually 3 different types of collaboration we're going to teach you guys today, or show you today. And we're going to do it through a type of collaboration called a protocol. So protocols are one type of collaboration we want to show you, we want to let you experience, and we're going to use a final word protocol to actually go through this process today. So what we do, we've got 3 different types of collaboration. One of them, like I said, is protocols. Another one is PLCs. Another one is
Virtual collaboration.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, it was over here. Virtual collaboration. Thank you. So here's how it works. If you look at the final word protocol, and you will have a packet of protocols to take back with you to your classroom to help you with collaboration. But for the final word protocol, you're going to split into 2s, and one of us will join the spare person. So you'll have a group of 2 as well. Select a timekeeper. So only one person gets the floor at a time. So you can follow the directions up here. First, you'll have a chance to read the article. So that's the first thing. So have a chance to read. You can mark up the articles. There are 2 articles per type of collaboration that we have. But then you select the passages or the quotations that you feel really speak to you in some way. And then the first person, once that process begins, the first person will do the final word, begin the final word protocol. So you have 3 minutes to explain that process or explain the reason that you chose, and then the next person gets 2 minutes to react or respond, And then the final person or the original person, since there are only two, you've got 2 more minutes to respond to what the other person said. So you can read through the directions up here when you get into your groups. We also have chart paper.
Yes,
behind you.
sir.
Awesome. Yes.
Only
so-
slightly pre-dampened?
I am too. I'm slightly pre-dampened. So you'll put your quotations when we get there on the chart paper. So that's just kind of a preview of what we're doing today. But first we're going to start with the articles. So let's split into twos just across the table. So instead of sitting next to each other, let's move each other. So 2, 2, and then somebody want to get with, someone from our group will get with you. Okay? So we'll start passing out the articles. So you guys are going to be the lucky ones to get protocols because I have to be standing right here.
Can we have a group of 3?
All right, so just take a few minutes to read the articles and mark them up,
Yeah, I think so.
and we'll have private time for that.
Y'all are gonna get their PLC.
And everybody will get copies of all the articles before you leave.
If you just want to point me towards the virtual collaboration people over here, I'll listen in on them.
Okay, who has virtual
So you're good.
collaboration?
I want to make sure.
Who has
Did you
virtual?
say you're going to work with her on
I
virtual
think I do.
collaboration?
Okay. Then I think you're actually already kind of with them.
Okay, good.
Hi.
Read first.
So do you have the articles for virtual collaboration?
I've got the.
No, I don't.
I have
Okay,
them.
so some just, anybody want to work with virtual collaboration? You've already read the articles? Do you want to work with her? Okay.
Across the table or next to the person? Next to the person.
Okay.
Okay.
Here, you want to
So
just
this
share?
will be about 10 minutes or
Turn
so.
the
You'll
volume
go through the
down.
articles on your own, and we'll have this private time to do the reading. Okay? So they already have theirs.
No,
Okay, you guys.
Yeah, 2.
Okay. Is another person?
Yeah.
Oh, well, look at us. We
Okay,
got-
he can do it right here.
Take Bert out of the,
He can join right here.
No, that's his.
Over here or over there?
Oh, he's gonna join her.
You're gonna,
He's gonna join her right here.
they're gonna put you to
Yes,
work.
I would like to even number here.
This is Roy Algie. Oh, no, it's not. How do you?
That's all G.
Algie. Yes, I try to put 3 syllables in there because there's lots of
Here.
vowels. And he is at the CGLA, the girls prep school. All right.
So we're reading through the articles, and first thing we're doing is just going through and selecting quotes.
Yeah, either
Articles.
quote or pass it, Roy speaks to you in some way.
Okay. Pleasure. It's okay. Just go. Okay. Basically social studies to get the kids ready for the team ready course. So I'm teaching curriculum basically. Teaching history. That's what the first 15 centuries were. Just like whatever. It's not really. No, if that's what you
Take about a minute and a half.
Thank you.
We'll decide who will begin, who will be the timekeeper. So just one timekeeper. And the person who begins, remember, you'll explain whichever quotation or significant passage you want to discuss. It can be from either article, that's up to you. You've got 3 minutes to talk about it. You've got 3 minutes, sounds like a short time. It's a long time when you want to discuss something. So that's your 3 minutes. So that means you have to go into detail about why you chose that particular passage or quotation, what it means, what you're thinking about it. So that's for you. And then the other person stays silent for this entire 3 minutes. Then the other person then gets the chance to respond to it. As we've written up here, you can expand on what the original person said. You get 2 minutes for that. And then you, the original person, you get the final word. So you have 2 minutes to give your last word. The other person may have responded with a question. You get the last word for that. So I'll let you guys go ahead and get started with that. With the final word protocol, begin with your partner. You're on your own for the timekeeping, and then we'll all come back together as a group. Okay?
This is another one of my babies.
Okay.
so-
Would you like to keep time, because my phone is definitely dead.
Just, um,
I totally do not care to go first. I can talk my way through 3 minutes. Okay, so I picked one of each because the way I read these, and I don't know if this is how it was intended to be read, but this one I felt was more about the collaboration on like student performance, and this one was more about how it affects people's personal development. So one of the quotations I picked out of this one was that becoming a part of such a large and passionate online community has led to a world of personal and professional growth that may otherwise have been impossible. And I pulled that out because I don't use Instagram for anything but to talk about it. So before I became an Instagrammer, I started following people that they would, say things in their classroom that I really liked, or
Just go bust in on somebody.
a worksheet that I thought was beneficial. And as I started following them, we connected and started talking. And what I realized is that even though it's nice to have a supportive community like inside your building, it's also nice sometimes because I'm a first year teacher and I ask and ask and ask and ask questions. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't want to ask so many questions. So it's nice to be able to, one, have an outside source to go to and say, hey, how would you handle this situation? But it's also nice to get like that bird's eye look on things because like my grade level content partner, her and I are very similar in personality. We've both been teaching less than 2 years, so a lot of times I'll go ask her how she handles a situation or would approach something instructionally, and her answer is the same as what I had before. So it's nice to connect with people that have an outside perspective.
Is that something?
Now I'm finding it hard to talk for 2
We got 1 more minute to go.
This one, I grabbed something that it helps address interventions and promote higher student achievement. And that one really spoke to me because we use Mastery Connect, and our principal is like gung-ho about us using it. And I was not super great at it at first. And I have been giving pretty consistently free input almost every week. They're just short. I mean, some of them were 2 to 3 questions. But I have caught things in my kids instructionally that need to be addressed where they don't master standards. And at the end of our last assessment, had a 20% increase in their test scores. So things like that, like it gets me on board because I realize that it's nice to have track data, and that keeps it all for you on Mastery Connect because you can see the students mastered the standard on this question, but when it was presented in this way, they didn't understand it. But we have a lot of walking around because some kids with other kids behaviorally. So when they switch teams, that other teacher can also pull it up and see exactly where they were on the span of like what they've done and what they haven't.
We can every time come up with something.
We have our meeting.
I hear that's a big thing.
So who's the timekeeper for the next 2 minutes?
Oh,
Okay, so,
I'm there and we do our
okay. All right, so your 2 minutes is going on now. You're gonna have 2
I'm about
minutes
to
as well.
start.
Okay.
Is it 3 or 6?
It's 2 minutes and then you'll get a 2 minutes. So you guys will run a little bit longer than everybody else, but that's okay.
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 Okay, and when I just did was different. That's all. I had a few, but ultimately, this idea of we actually have some walls, and not a wall, but a window. So this window, I mean, that's constantly what I'm doing. Is I'm kind of do stuff into the smaller and they have a place for it. So I'm kind of away from teachers. That's what it's, you know, nice about how we do it from everybody has access to everybody's lesson plan. The work. I'm constantly going to see, you know, how certain teachers are addressing certain ways of engaging with kids. Whether it's the warm up or just basic reevaluation or correction.
Also research.
So I'm kind of all through. So that's it. That sounds like there was really an internet. There wasn't, but it was all. It was you know, sound out the modem. Yeah. So I mean, I can imagine the teacher. It's amazing what you can do. It's just collaborating. I don't even know. I know their information, but I do go and I sit in on the classes. That's good, but I did. I want to stick to my.
I think you get 2 minutes.
That's fine. So I like that.
I'm in order not middle.
And so we have sort of a collaborative meeting. So we collaborate across technology, which I like because I work with the teacher who also teaches culinary English, and so she's like sort of an anti-tech, not terribly anti-tech, but not much.
Oh, so we just like.
Yeah, so you guys are gonna share, do the same process with the second person?
And I'm like, and they're all named. And I'm like, okay, so we need to create this repository.
So in more detail, the passage I highlighted, so.
Yeah, or some sort of like online.
Housekeeper leaders, working with special colleagues, is to keep things going. Sort of ready when there's a structure in place that highlights the goals.
No.
Other years there is no set process followed. And there's no set process followed. Interactions with the involved, and that's something that I specialize in online sessions about. Listen to this so I personally see what this library has had recovery. I believe we have some but they were talking about the protocols with their so we anytime I can integrate I've never been but because we had a check this year. She's a little bit more students to be more protocols. So she didn't know I hated protocols.
So,
so that's what last year we had
on Tuesdays we
collaborating and then the second part is our meetings.
We didn't use Master, we used Master Connect for benchmarks at the beginning of it. year, and we used it to give our big tests, but my grade level partner teacher and I are terrible test givers. We're just like, we just are terrible test givers. So we're using it a lot more now to use it as formative assessment. And even we started using it consistently last week to give like the pre and post test. And just like the things, because we use exit tickets, but the things that I'm able to address like this week, how I just that changed what I taught today, and I saw it affect them
It seems more.
is amazing to me. And I like anybody can pull it up and see where they are. And especially for me as a placement teacher, I need something tangible. Yes, I need something tangible, especially when like benchmark scores go here, here, and here, and here. I need to figure out like a plan somewhere to like get them back where they need to be, which is nice. But I also think that we don't, so in my building, I collaborate almost every day with coworkers, but we don't have a ton of opportunities to collaborate departmentally, and we have almost never get to collaborate interdepartmentally. And these kind of things have been where I have gotten to talk to teachers that teach other things that I've pulled back into my classroom. So I wish that we had more opportunities, even if it was through like a video chatting session or like a Google Doc collaboration.
Well, we finished up all of our.
Yeah, I think I'm probably like, I think I was probably done this
Just changed this year in some meetings, and they're moving more in that direction.
I think we just finished the month, like I think we're done.
Right. So it stays, they do just stand there like, it's down, student numbers.
Oh, you do the whole thing 3 times?
For everybody, yeah, so everybody gets an opportunity, I think it's they, whatever they.
I really like it. But I haven't noticed the math ones are not, you know, they're like.
But if we,
Still really
so
like
we
cut
went
and
through all
dry,
3 of
not
those
really
steps,
like
like I
intense.
spoke, he spoke, and then I spoke again, and then we do it again. Uh-huh. I understand that.
Same behavior, issues, same behavior.
Yeah.
We have like a training test, is that respond right back into. And then he gets to use
Keep recording it. I don't need to be recording this.
We went to the conference and went through all the stuff, PLC, and we started it, but even then you have to, it'd say about 3 years to actually get it going and continue it. And we kept falling, we tried something and it kept falling back about halfway through the year. Because other things, issues came up and everything else, so it was just hard to do, so.
Now, I will say, I'm very fortunate, yeah, so most of y'all know CSAS is a magnet school, it's very lovely. We have a great PLC system we're set up. So this is our 2nd year in the getting PLC started. Last year they did it where we decided that basically like how are yours set up? Are yours across grade level? What's yours? Are they?
The ones in my school, mainly content, mainly like groups of grade level content, so middle school ELA.
Okay, so what we do since it's K through 5, we take K through 5 science, K through 5 math, K through 5 language arts, and they get to work together. So say Bob struggled in 3rd grade language arts and he's in 5th grade now. They see it collaborating that way. So this teacher's like, okay, so I saw him struggling in this way, this is what I got for him to work. And then us as related arts, we have our own PLC group, and we're given the tier 2 and tier 3 kids from each grade level. And what we decide is, okay, Jim really responds well in my class, the way I work with him. So we actually pull tier 2 and tier 3 sometimes and work with them. So say Jim is really athletic and responds well to me as a PE teacher, I will bring him in and show him ways to do like his math, but I'll create a game with it. So we do a lot of integration. It's required for us to integrate all subjects into like PE, music, library, art. All of us are required to take classroom subjects to even submit that lesson to our principal. So I would say overall, we have a really great PLC. It's very collaborative. And it's not anything to do with our grade level, because we've noticed what would happen is they would just get with the grade level meetings, and it would just be like, man, Jim's really killing me this week, and he's doing this and that, and this and that. It was more of a grok session than how can we move our students from tier 3 to tier 2? How can we get Amy from being on a C reading level in 3rd grade? Things like that, instead of just your normal grok session in the afternoon. So I actually would like to invite anybody that would like to see a properly ran PLC meeting. We have them every other week. I can pass out my email before we leave. And if anybody would like to see a properly ran PLC group, our principal has invited you all to come in.
That's kind of what you're.
Yeah, can we zoom in?
Gotcha.
Yes.
I mean,
Sorry.
it's kind of a luxury of a low turnover school to plan that way, though, right?
It is. So
Jimmy's
it's
third grade teacher
obviously,
is still there.
yeah, it's
He's
very
in
rare that
It's
any
like-
of our teachers leave. Very, very rare. So that is,
I
it's
have
very
a question.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm sorry, somebody might have covered this, but I'm also, I might be grading midterms, so. Anyway, so when do you have these meetings? Is it during a planning time?
Also
or
after school.
After school? And about how long do they last?
We have an hour.
Okay.
So our principal sends out what she would like us to cover. She does attend, but she's just a spectator in the background. We have an agenda. We don't go over a single minute.
Wow.
So we have, if she gives us 10 minutes to discuss how an update of tier 3 to tier 2 transition,
Right.
we have 10 minutes. And as soon as that timer's up, we on to the next one. So that way that we don't get into those grok sessions, because we did notice some at the beginning of the year, just.
No, that wouldn't happen.
Yes, ma'am. Comes with it.
It sure does.
But
that's interesting. I know that and I'm retired from Hamilton County, but when I was at Lakeside, and this is, I don't know how many years ago it was, 8, that whole concept of PLCs had kind of started to take root, and we attempted it, but I think it was more of a grouchy time.
Mm-hmm. So
And
I
nothing
never,
into lesson planning too. So.
a high turnover school. So please come to any of our PLCs, and definitely a high turnover school. That we come on over. Okay.
I mean, the school that was teaching in Tampa, we used to have PLC, so we would talk about, we would actually kind of, in a way, since all the students would go through the middle school and then high school, kind of like where I'm at right now with South Creek, we get most of the middle schools, so we can track them back. So I don't have access to that data.
Yeah.
So I have to go ask around, hey, what's what did this kid do in Algebra 1? Grade did he get? And then I get an idea, because I'm like, well, I don't know what grade you got. I'm assuming, I hold my students to high standards, so I'm assuming you're at least a B student. So, but if I knew you had a B, which usually means, you're not a grade, I can actually work better with you. My lesson plans would be better. But I don't have no way to track them back. And so I have to go ask, and it's tiring. And then, it would be great if we had like grade level meetings. That way we can, like the advisors or something, I don't know, just talk about how the students are doing, and again, get ideas from teachers. Like, hey, this worked great for my class because I haven't been Algebra 1. You should try that. But again, we have every month faculty meeting, and then we break up into departments. But it's mostly that's basically it.
Well, South Creek's traditional block, right? Year long.
Yeah.
So I'm year long as well, and so we do PLCs every Tuesday. So I may get our principal to contact Tobin, because I've worked with Tobin last year, just to kind of throw this idea out, because we do like an interdisciplinary PLC. So I have 3rd period planning, and so I'm in there with my 9th grade content area people, and I'm in there with science teachers, just whoever. And so we plan together and make common assessments, right? Clear learning targets, together. And then we kind of like look at other people's work and kind of critique and offer feedback. So that's every week, and it is during the planning period. We talked about after school, and the faculty would not agree to after school. So, but during planning it works, and we know that it's a routine on Tuesday, so we can kind of plan ahead. So I may mention that to our principal and see if he could reach out to yours.
I mean, at least I think it would be easy because it's only 2 upper school or high school teachers, me and the other math, algebra 1 and geometry. But like, we have to be able to have the same planning period
Right.
and stuff, and that creates another problem.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true.
What school are you at?
Central High School.
Central, okay. We need to move on.
Good conversation.
It was a great conversation.
Yeah, collaborating.
Yeah.
Did everybody get, did we pass out articles of the PLCs to everybody? That goes with it? We'll send,
Yeah, we'll make sure.
because we
everybody-
have 15 copies expecting a lot more people, so we have copies for if you see or.
All right, virtual.
Virtual.
Okay.
It's your show.
All right, virtual.
All right, what you got?
It is first. Okay. So mine says, this sort of data-driven discovery can very well change the way instruction is delivered and how intervention is addressed. So I was really talking about Mastery Connect because I hated it at the beginning of the year and I really like it now. Because my kids don't respond well to exit tickets. They think sticky notes are toys, even though they're 11. So if they take it seriously, it's a couple of them that only took it moderately seriously. So I was trying to figure out ways where I could implement some sort of quick assessment that would give me data that I could, 1, track, but 2, like, I'm very type A. So I need, if someone tells me there's a problem, I need there to be a plan in place that has measurable steps to get there. And Mastery Connect was a really good way for me to implement like 1 or 2 question pre and post assessments that let me see what my students got of my instruction, what they didn't. And like last week, 1 question helps me figure out how to change my argument lesson for today, because I realized I was calling them arguments and they were taught in the past that they are reasons. 1 word made a big difference on whether or not they could answer a question on an assessment and master that standard or whether or not they couldn't. So that's a big thing for me. I don't know if I have anything else. I saw that I use a lot of Google Docs because I'm an English teacher. And my kids love being able to collaborate in groups and see who said this and who said this and who said this. But I'm otherwise not really good with technology.
Do you use the paper and pencil version of Mastery Connect, or do you do it on the computer for multiple kids?
Both. So our benchmarks have been on the computer so far. I, in my classroom, have tried 1 time to use Mastery Connect for just a quick formative on the computers. The only issue with that is, even though we're a 1-to-1 school, we're also in the opportunity zone. So sometimes, well, they're also 11. So our kids don't always take care of their Chromebooks, or they leave them at home, or they're not charged. And as a grade level team, we have a set, but they're shared by 3 people. So I tried 1 time to get 5 Chromebooks and kind of stagger who took it and didn't get it all done. So I usually just do.
So do you guys collaborate and create these assessments together?
I do with my grade level content partner. She teaches a different set of things than I do, but we teach the same grade level and the same content. So we collaborate, and sometimes our instructional coach will get on board, but we do collaborate interdepartmentally on their texts that they're doing for any reading unit or guided reading things. We usually try to tie back to a social studies or science standard.
So for Mastery Connect, the data comes down, you guys collaborate to examine data, do some data day with the
We not interdepartmentally so far. All we've done is we usually dig through it with we haven't done it with our principal, but we have done it in the prompting, just within departments and department meetings.
Okay, so I have the next one, and mine was on the article about online communities. And so my quote was, we are strengthened when we draw upon the passions and insights of each other. So I mentioned that we collaborate every Tuesday for about, I guess it's about 50 minutes with a lot of other teachers in our building. And so a lot of the ways that we do that, we make common assessments together. And so we're always encouraged to bring in technology. If like sometimes as teachers we get insulated, we like to do our thing in our own classroom, and that's the best it's ever going to get. And so looking at like science tests, you know, and how questions are worded, we had like a whole sort of seminar on how to develop like stronger, more difficult questions. And so we could integrate those questions into like a multiple choice test, because I teach English, and so we don't do a lot of multiple choice all the time. A lot of it's writing based. And so making those questions that are kind of probing questions, so it's not like, you know, what is the title of this text versus, you know, something that's a little bit deeper. And so looking at like, and we've also gone into, we do a lot of going into other classrooms and just seeing how other instructors in the building teach and integrate technology. And it's sort of 50-50. I've seen a lot of teachers who use it every day, all day, every day, and other teachers who refer, you know, to the board or, you know, anchor charts. But I think it's interesting and really important that, you know, as teachers, we don't become so insulated in what we do, and that we want to branch out and see. And I also liked part of the article that talked about how we kind of, like, if we want to see what other teachers are doing, you know, there's ways to like conference online and see like, you know, going to various conferences online just to see like what teachers are doing. And I'm not a big Pinterest person. But finding like Pinterest, you know, when I became a teacher for Hamilton County has been like life-saving.
Can you talk about what you do with Pinterest?
Yeah, so if I like, for example, when I got my classroom, I wanted to make it welcoming because it was really bland. And so I made a sort of a bulletin board area where I can display student work. So when students like submit work to me that I really like thought was engaging or was like exemplary, I'll post it and I'll take them aside and say, and I've got a picture of Thor on the board that says, "Are you worthy?" And the only way you get on the board is if I post it up there. And so it's kind of a nice way to like reinforce that, hey, I'm watching what you do. I'm not just assigning grades or whatever. So just stuff like that, you know, and I get ideas from Pinterest all the time. Like I'm teaching a unit right now on Romeo and Juliet. And so it gets kind of bland when you're going through the text and, you know, you're kind of trudging through the minutia of Shakespeare. But we just did an assignment that I found online where you create a conversation as a text message. And I found that on Pinterest. You know, so like I would never have thought about that before, you know, because I'm a first-year teacher, you know, like for high school. But anyway, so like looking at what other teachers have done online, even though it's just Pinterest, it's not like a professional, you know, learning community, but, you know, just getting that insight I think is helpful.
I'll add on to that. My wife is also a teacher, and she's on Instagram a lot more than I am. There's apparently tons of teacher accounts and like actual teachers who do their lessons and show it and talk about it and stuff. And I mean, I hear it.
I steal a lot. I've got to use that.
Collaborate.
Right, that's right. That's right.
It's a lot of my field. It's a lot more the elementary level, real easy stuff. But
yeah, there's a lot from high school.
There is.
I've only seen
lot of
the
really good
elementary
middle
stuff.
Yeah. My
Yeah,
inbox
so-
is usually flooded with stuff from Pinterest about this.
Has anybody ever used Flipgrid for colleagues?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Has anybody have experience with using Flipgrid with collaborating with colleagues?
Yes.
No.
So we do this thing, it's called instructional walks, and it's actually really hated upon by a lot of people in the school. But we do it 4 times a year. And so we go into another teacher's classroom, we observe their instructional strategy or whatever teaching style that they're using. And then on Flipgrid, we go on and we give them feedback. And then we might pick something out of the class saying, oh, hey, I saw that you did this. I don't do this. So I'm going to try to incorporate that in my room. I mean, it's really nice to have like immediate feedback, but of course, nobody ever says, who they went and observed, because you have access to watch everybody's Flipgrid. But it's interesting to see feedback that way. It can be a little bit of a scheduling nightmare, but I have found it to be pretty beneficial because it allows me to see teachers who I've really, honestly, they've been working in the building and I've never seen them teach. And so it gives me that opportunity to steal ideas.
Can one of you guys explain to people who don't know what Flipgrid is?
I can. So Flipgrid is basically it's an app that you can use on your phone or computer, whatever. And basically you pose a question. You can pose the question by typing it, or you can do a video of it, of yourself speaking the question. And then whoever it is that you want to answer gives a video of themselves answering the question. So I've used it with colleagues before. I use it in my class a lot because I have kids who have a hard time typing or have a hard time writing, but they can tell you the answer. So they can do the videos a lot easier. And the kids love it.
Yeah.
So we have a training one-on-one session that I'm in Hamilton County, and they post questions on there all the time, and we talk back and forth to that.
And typically for us, the teacher that's getting observed goes ahead and picks a question like, hey, when you come in my room, I want you to look at my classroom management. And so they'll post that question on Flipgrid so that when we leave, hey, this is what I saw as far as classroom management.
Right. Yeah, it's cool. And then when somebody posts a question, when somebody responds, anybody else can get on there and then respond back to that response. So you can have a whole conversation going back and forth, which is awesome.
So you can sort of create a thread.
Yeah, basically very cool. Yeah.
So like, here's what it looks like on your phone. This is a class that I taught not that long ago. And so I asked a question here, and then like here's student responses. You can hear probably.
I apologize that my last video, the sound apparently wasn't working.
Right, so she didn't have time. But
So we'll try this on a different
and then
device.
other people you can see they respond to her video back and forth. So okay. So, yeah.
All right, let's go to the last one.
All right, I'll be quick. So this was just at the end of a paragraph, and obviously it was talking about doing away with the old traditional style of education, which I was basically brought up in the 90s. I'm a new teacher, so I'm learning about Google Classroom, and Google Forms, and all the different ways you can integrate everything. And it's really nice going on Google Drop. Let me introduce my quote. Eventually, I hope the classroom wall will symbolize not a wall, but a window. And the reason I chose that is because I'm in this little tiny room, this little box by the administrators, and the rest of the teachers are like way on the other side. Wow. And I'm writing the curriculum as I go along and making it up as I go along.
What subject?
Where are you?
It's Bible history is what I'm teaching. So and there's no other teachers that do this in the school, and I'm using paper lessons from several years ago.
He's doing a good job.
I thought I was
go
doing a good job.
watch. Yeah.
Anyway, so
the challenge.
But I have to go in, and the good thing is once I use these, what I think of as windows. You can go in and look at other teachers' obvious files, what they are, and see where they're at. And really, it's all about engaging students. Getting them up and ready, warmed up. Grappling with questions. Having engaging applications and follow-ups, and making sure that they're picking up what you're putting out there. I just assumed that they would just be engaged when I first getting them to teach. I was like, wait a second, I'll learn as interested as I am. So it was really good to go in and see how other teachers have engaged students and how they create different types of really interesting activities, and then I can go observe them and watch how they implement them. So a lot of windows is the theme of how I go about. I'm always stalking them basically, and there's some good teachers that are really good teachers at CGLA.
All right. These are some of the things I've put up here. You have the typical like Skype where you can do video conferences and stuff. Google Docs and Google Forms and Google Sheets. I do a lot of that. Me and my 3 co-teachers have Google Forms, and we do our lesson plans all together on it. Padlet, I was going to show you that. I don't know if we'll have enough time. Padlet is an online. We can do it. No, I didn't have the link on there. But it's basically an online bulletin board where you can post questions, you can post whatever you want to on there. Twitter. If you're not on Twitter, I'm on there only for education. And there is a ton of stuff. There are chats. Like tonight is the EdTech chat. And it's all, they post questions about technology in the classroom. Yesterday was social studies chat. But you can get on there and find all kinds of chats. And they'll ask questions. Teachers will get on there and post all kinds of stuff for you. Facebook, there are groups. We talked about Instagram and Flipgrid, and Google Hangouts is a great way to do it within the building if you need to, or across the country. Okay. Yeah.
Google Plus is.
Google Plus is down. Yeah. And those are just some things that you can virtually collaborate with teachers. Flipgrid, I'm actually going to do a Flipgrid conference with a class in Greece, because we're doing Greece right now. So we're going to do that in a couple of weeks. So that'd be cool. My students will love that. So that'd be cool.
You want to do this?
No, we'll go on. If we have time, we'll come back to it.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and get the program. Thanks, guys. It was great.
Yeah, good job. So
Great job.
anybody else have any other virtual collaboration that you do?
Kristen, you got anything else?
No. Flipgrid was my note that I wrote down to share about on that.
Did you guys give them that article?
No, they're right here.
All right, so our topic was protocol. We read 2 articles, 1 article on protocol. And yeah, it was talking about how we need to implement protocols when we're dealing with pretty much anything in the classroom and school. It really helps. It outlines different types of protocols that you need, whether it's protocols with teams in your classrooms or it's protocols for administration. The quote that stuck out to me was a key issue for administrators and teaching leaders. Working with small groups of colleagues is keeping focus on improving student learning. And it goes on to talk about how our meetings devolve into Skype sessions like we were talking about earlier. Because that's what I've noticed in our teacher meetings that we have weekly meetings. All we do is we come in and work on our newsletter that we're required to do by the administration. And then we have discussions about how the students are doing, but I don't really get to collaborate much with the other teachers because we haven't had that type of protocol put in place to discuss it. So we don't really know what to do besides our newsletter. Yeah.
So like Ahmed was saying, the articles we looked at, they talked about implementing protocols for improving student learning. So basically how can you collaborate with a colleague to get the most out of your time working together. Because if there's not structure, it will devolve easily. This is what the article was saying, and I've had experience with that as well in my short tenure teaching. So a quote that stuck out to me was, consistent use of a small number of protocols will deepen the work of teacher leaders, and it went on a little bit. But basically, something I thought was that it would be better to have like a smaller number of protocols, but use them consistently and use them well, than to have too many, because I feel like they could start to lose their value if you have too many and they're too detailed to implement effectively. So that's something that I've actually tried to do in my classroom this year as well as a first year teacher. A lot of veteran teachers have told me, don't try to do too much, just focus on like certain things and try to do those well and do those consistently, and that'll pay more dividends than trying to do a whole lot of things and not doing any of it well. So that's kind of what that wasn't the main point. The main point was protocols to collaborate with your colleagues better, but that was something that I took away from it as well.
Have any of you used protocols before, either looking at student work or in meetings with colleagues? Nobody?
But they have that, man, I know it.
Well, so one of the things, I'm gonna go ahead and give you the packet. So you've got several different protocols here. The most famous one is the tuning protocol. But these are just different ways to talk to people, talk to each other. And if you haven't used these before, this is a really good way to have conversations with people without letting those conversations turn into gripe sessions that you guys have been talking about. But also making sure everybody stays focused. And the thing about protocols is making sure that they stay focused. So keeping people to that time limit, making sure you have a strong facilitator who can help people stay on task where they're supposed to be. But don't letting that conversation devolve into something that it's not supposed to be. So the focus really has to be maintained throughout the protocol. So the protocols have different purposes. So this one, the tutoring protocol, is for refining curriculum or practice. This is great for looking at student work. There's a descriptive review. It's also great for looking at student work or for looking at a lesson plan. If you have a question about, wow, I've really planned this, but I don't know if this is the right thing to do, to bring it into a group of teachers at a PLC. So instead of just throwing it out there and saying, I don't know what to do, really looking at it objectively first and then taking a more analytical look at something. A sticky issue. So how many of us have had a problem that we've wanted to discuss, either a problem with at school or with a student or a room tutor or something like that? So a sticky issues protocol is a great way to handle that sticky issue, again, without getting into those areas that can make it into more of a gripe session. So a sticky issue protocol is a wonderful one to use. And then the consultancy is a problem-solving version of that sticky issue. So I've just given you several different protocols to use. And then one of the articles that you're going to get also, I think it has 2 different protocols at the bottom of the article as well. So you're going to be walking away with several protocols to use. For those of you who have PLCs or have team meetings, I really recommend trying some of these, but you, again, sticking to the time limit, sticking to that focus, because you'll be amazed at how well you can accomplish something if you can remain objective. The first thing, just remaining objective and just keeping the focus on what you're supposed to be working with. So I'm going to give you the rest of these, give everybody articles for tuning and for the protocols. I guess. And then we'll go to the last part of our discussion. Does anybody have anything you want to add about protocols or anything that you want to debrief about the protocol that you used earlier? How hard was it to stick to the time limit? Not hard?
Try to meet up.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Go.
You were right about it's hard talking with people.
It is.
Sometimes it's hard not to have, when you're sitting there quiet, you're wanting to say something, but then.
Yeah, that was hard. I think I've done this before. I just never did it.
Right, so I
That's
think,
it.
yeah, I think you guys probably have, but it's just a way to stick to the topic at hand. So I know a lot of people now are talking about the elevator conversation, so you guys have heard of that, yeah? So how long is it going to take you to get to the 10th floor? Well, don't talk any longer than it takes you to get to the 10th floor. So those are the elevator conversations, and, people try to stick to that. So it's along the same lines, you get X amount of time to talk, and then once that X amount of time, so kind of like you were talking about if your faculty or your PLCs, you get the 10 minutes to talk, and once that 10 minutes is over, that's it, you stop talking, because everybody needs that equal opportunity to have a voice. All right.
Kristen, want to go? Kristen, you want to do your slide?
Yeah, sure. I mean, honestly, we've kind of touched up a lot of it. It was more of so just a wrap up of how teacher collaboration looks like at all 3 different levels. And honestly, what it boils down to is we all have different experiences. We all have different district requirements, school requirements, county requirements. And so honestly, collaboration is going to look slightly different in every school, but there are some common norms. So I put those on there for you to look at. I mean, obviously, when we're in these meetings, we all have a shared common language. We have a level of comfort when it comes to contributing ideas. That's really important. The hardest part is sitting in a meeting and not feeling comfortable acknowledging and sharing your ideas. You don't want to sit in a meeting and be the quiet one. Equal opportunity to participate, a safe space for expressing disagreement, which is, another thing that's really important. As educators and teachers, it's okay to disagree with one another. But I think that it has to be in a space like that where you can offer opinions of each other. And then looking at an article, the most reported teacher behaviors in, a typical grade level meeting or common planning time or PLC was that they weigh the pros and cons of specific teaching practices. They work on lesson plans, and they discuss a problem experienced in their classroom. And then I just kind of talked to some different people within my county to kind of see what their typical weekly or bi-weekly meetings looked at. So you can kind of see there the high school, middle school, and elementary. They all, in my opinion, they all kind of look the same. All of them seem to be data driven. It was just a matter of who they collaborated with, whether it was people in different grade levels or people within their grade level or people within the same subject. Elementary, I think, in my personal experience and opinion, parental involvement is a little more relevant in those meetings, whereas that might not be a topic that's typically discussed in middle school or high school. And something I thought about as we were going through this, for me especially, collaboration just isn't about teacher collaboration. I've recently stepped out of my comfort zone and began collaborating with some of our stakeholders and some of our community partners. One of my main goals was increasing community partners within our school. So I've had people from the community come in and sit in on our planning time and say, hey, this is what we want to teach our kids. What can you tell me that happens out in the real world with what you do? So, reaching out to those community partners can also really change the way that a collaboration meeting can work too. I'm done.
Sneezing right there.
So before we close out, we want to think back to the essential question. Don't go back to it. Don't do it. So what was the essential question? Come on, guys.
Going from what to what?
Mandated. Right. So teacher collaboration from mandated to from mandated to meaningful. So I want you to think, and we're going to give you a couple minutes of private think time about how you can make teacher collaboration, or what would teacher collaboration look like in a meaningful way in your particular school, or how can you kind of bring teacher collaboration into your school in a meaningful way, even if it's just a small way, even if it's just collaborating with another person. How can you bring that collaboration to your school in a meaningful way? So take about 2 minutes of private think time and then share out with us. Okay.
Alright. So what does meaningful collaboration look like at your school?
Currently, or how I want it to look?
How you would want it to look?
I would want for us to actually have protocols in place, and we can actually discuss, have less of the gripe sessions and be able to actually discuss better ways of getting students to succeed. And probably if I could collaborate more with other teachers that teach the same subject as me. Currently, I only collaborate with the 4 teachers that teach the same students as me. So I don't really have any other science teachers to collaborate with. So if I could have time with even lower elementary school, even the 3rd grade teachers, 2nd grade teachers, see what they're teaching in science, and be able to talk to them, I would probably have better collaborations.
For me, I mean, one of the things is just going around observing other teachers. And for me, I like getting feedback. I want to know what I'm doing right. I want to know how I can improve what I'm doing wrong. And from that, take that to my classroom and improve my teaching. And so that I would kind of want to see that more. Teachers coming and observing. And me going out and observe other teachers as well. So I can gain more knowledge, especially for my subject or even other subjects. So, and then just kind of interview about, hey, well, are you in, did I do this? And, just kind of talk about how I can improve and just stuff that I'm doing.
Now, I know one of my fellow coworkers had first-year teacher was having those same issues. And what she actually did is found a couple of, like a couple different schools and found those same subject teachers. And she would actually just self-record her lessons and they would submit it to them. And they kind of had like one of those Flipgrid. So they mix it in, and that way, because the biggest thing about education is time. It's always time. I don't have time for this, time for this. So she did that, and that way they can just talk about it that way and get feedback that way. That way there's also, so if I'm watching you teach and I go to say, give you feedback, face to face, you're most likely to make, it was great. I don't see, but when it's like less pressured behind the computer and you can feel like you can get more critical feedback, she noticed that helped as well.
Yeah, and and it helped if you kind of also give them just a list of what
yeah.
Or they're like, hey, it's good. You did a good job.
Yeah.
Right?
I also had feedback from peer observations, but we have peer observations every Monday. So like it's scheduled. So one Monday it was 6th grade got observed during tables planning. Then the next Monday after that it's 7th grade, and the Monday after that it's 8th grade, and then it restarts. And we just started it, so we've only done 1 week of it. So far, I don't think that we're getting any feedback from it. So we submitted a Google form for each teacher that we went and observed, but none of that has been released to us. So I think it would be nice to get feedback from that, even if it's anonymous. I have I ask other teachers all the time to come in and watch me during their planning, just because I feel like I can't get enough help. So
yeah.
I'm pretty open to that. I also think it would be beneficial. The one thing I don't have after talking about the learning communities I'm not a part of any learning community with my grade level at all. So I am almost only exclusively collaborating with content area teachers, which is really beneficial. But I don't get to collaborate with any of the other teachers that teach my students, or influencing their education in other classes. So I think that that's something that's, other than being able to implement some of their standards, like topic-wise into my instruction, because I'm a literacy teacher, I don't really get to collaborate with them beyond that. So I think it would be nice to have a grade level.
See, and I think, I don't know if you all might agree, the whole you all's planning your peer observations. I know if, say, John's coming in to observe me today, I'm going to bring, if I already know people are coming in my classroom all day long, I'm going to have the best of the best already laid out and prepared. So I feel like it should be more spontaneous.
Yeah.
To give you all more critical feedback, just because, like I said, if you know someone's coming in your classroom the night before, you're going to be preparing, and you're going to have your best of the best. It's not going to be when Jim's acting up and, you know, Sally's asking questions from lessons taught 2 weeks ago and acts like she doesn't know what you're talking about. So I feel like would be better feedback for you on that aspect.
Well, yeah, I had an instructional coach come into my classroom last week. Wasn't planned. She came into my worst class. And it's mostly behaviors. The intelligence is there, just the level of engagement's not there. So I'm managing behaviors a lot. But that's not what I wanted to talk about. So I really want to observe more ninth grade teachers because I'm not used to teaching 13-year-olds and I want to strangle them most of the time, but I love them. So I hit my stride because I teach 12th grade also. So I'm good with my 12th graders, but I really want to learn how to meet the needs of my freshmen. You know, I can do some things with them, but I'm not used to teaching kids that are that young.
Yeah.
So, and the problem is that the way the schedule is at my school is that the teachers that teach ninth grade that are English teachers have to be with. So I never get to see them teach, never. And I really would like to see them teach, because we teach common things. So we're always we teach the same unit at the same time, and I really want to see that. How are you doing Romeo and Juliet? How are you doing the short story, that maybe could inform my instruction? Because I have one way to do it, and I try different things, but I really want to see how a veteran teacher would do it.
And that may just be something you talk to your principal about.
Yeah.
I have seen that a lot where principals will be like, especially you said your first, how many years have you been teaching?
High school, this is my first year.
So
yeah.
Walking in and saying, hey, this is my first year teaching high school, could I get some more? I'm trying to better my approach. And they might let you do that.
I've done that too. My first year, I asked to go watch another math class, and the principal was super
willing,
yeah,
I may do that.
facilitate that.
I may do that.
I mean, just get us
Yeah.
a little sub or an
The
Tuesday
instructional
to walk
coach.
in there for a couple.
That's what, I've had the instructional coach.
Yeah,
come in
just
our
kinda
room,
hold
so I
the
can
class
go
down.
observe somebody else.
Just do holding tank. Okay.
Yeah, I'll do that.
I basically teach history, social studies from 2000 BC all the way up to the Protestant Reformation for tea and ready. So basically they were like, yeah, we need you to teach what our history teachers are teaching. But I'm in the related arts department, so I don't even get to, I'm not even with them. Just kind of weird. I don't know. Regardless, it's fine. I know the content. I know what they're teaching because I have a master's in that particular field. But I don't know how to test the students in the way that they're going to be tested. I don't know exactly what order of Bloom's taxonomy are they at? Are they just asking basic questions, or are they needing more of a abstract answer? So that's something that I'm kind of struggling with. And high school students are easier to test, but middle school students, they're all over the place. They give me the most bizarre answers. I'm like, where were you all those months? I mean, you knew the answer 2 weeks ago. But I guess knowing how to test middle schoolers is a big issue with me. Figuring out how they keep it in their brains, really. I don't know.
I guess I was thinking, we do have every other month time together as a team. So I was trying to think about how to make that more productive. And when you're getting so much micromanagement from, in y'all's case, probably leadership, but my case, these random consultants from Miami. Don't really have any leadership. That it's hard to come up with your own solutions when you're already having so many things mandated. I guess I'm feeling inspired to try to collaborate on what our teachers, if they were, or what our solutions would look like if they were teacher driven. To try to come up with those things and make time present those to the people who already have their own ideas of how we should be doing things. But again, it's time. Like, we already have a million things being told to you. It's challenging to think creatively about what it would look like if you were coming up with a solution.
I guess the way that I would like to see more collaboration in my role as a teacher would be collaborating with the other science teachers at my school. So it is a small school, so each grade there's only one science teacher. So like 9th grade is the PWC, physical world concepts, and then 10th grade is what I teach, chemistry, and then 11th grade I take biology. So I'm the only science teacher for my grade, and it's the same way with all the other subjects. There's one English, one history, one math teacher for each grade. So I don't really get to do much collaboration with people in the same subject area as me. Since I'm the only chemistry teacher, and the 9th and 11th grade science teachers they're on different schedules, so I really don't have any structured time to collaborate with them. So maybe finding some way to do that would be beneficial for myself, especially because I'm supposed to be preparing them for biology, which is like tough class, and also they start doing enrollment in 11th grade, so I need to know like how to prepare them for that. So
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. I think I heard you say earlier, you know, one of the things I've done since I collaborate all the time. You know, you should do that almost every day. And I'm the same way. You know, my co-teacher, I collaborate with her every day. I talk to her. And it doesn't have to be, a lot of people think collaboration has to be, 30 minutes out. We talk 5-10 minutes sometimes. And it's about a test or an assignment or something like that. You just have to find that time. In between classes, I'll go ask her something and she'll come and ask me something. I even collaborate with my teacher I work with at East Ridge still. So, anytime you can collaborate and talk to any other teachers that teach your subject, email, whatever, it's going to help you no matter what. If I can help you with anything, I'll be glad to help you with whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, any of
Go
us.
ahead and volunteer any of us. Go ahead.
Well, I mean,
It's all of
I didn't want
us.
to speak for y'all, so.
Yeah, go ahead. No, it's all.
But yeah, I mean, if there's anything y'all need, help, let me know or let us know.
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, really. We've got lots of people, I know lots of people in the county. So if I can't find the answer, I know somebody that does, so. Lennon, last part?
Yeah, so this is just kind of another version of that first survey. Now that you know a little bit about teacher collaboration. Hopefully the link works. I mean, we got really lucky on the first one, so let's hope.
We are a 7-13 school, and I live in Cleveland, so.
Did you go to that meeting? And take a survey?
I'm young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My husband works in Knoxville, so I have a better commute than he does.
Do you want to take it on my computer?
He works for Oak Ridge National Lab, so he makes too much money to leave.
Yeah.
I was like, you're letting me teach, so it's fine. 100%.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, there's some sound.
Right? I love it. You'll hear like a dog bark or something.
It says I need permission.
You want the data that we get from our.
I don't really. I'm 20 days. I don't need any more.
Will you be able to forward the presentation?
I can send it to Ms. Ellington.
Sure.
Just forward it to them.
Sure.
And please don't hesitate to get in touch with any of us. We're more than happy to answer any questions or offer any assistance, whatever you need to do.
So you're not sharing the survey now, right?
I was talking about the slideshow.
Oh, okay.
I
Are you
can
sharing
share
the survey?
slideshow.
You have my email.
It's on the UTC website.
I'm sure it's just Charlotte dash Ellington.
At UTC.
Yeah.
Maybe it is.
Yes, I'm sure I'm somewhere on
We
that
also
website.
have data from the pre and post.
But it's not right now. Oh,
No,
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 I'm sorry.
no.
Okay.
You do wanna see
Oh,
it.
then, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you were going to share it right now.
No, no, no.
Okay, then never mind. Are we done?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we did it at 6:54, so.
Perfect.
Hey, no school for me tomorrow.
No school. Thank you. We'll see you later.
Bye.
That's why I stepped out.